So, can I be honest with y'all? Can I be fully honest? Are we all friends and family here? Y'all sweet peas? Outside of the first 15 minutes of supersized Cassie, of recycled fetish, kink, and debauchery and all manners of ding-a-lings, I didn't hate the rest of this episode. Did I love it? No. Am I saying it was good? Not by any stretch of the imagination. But it had a nasty perspective, sure. Questionable, absolutely. But maybe we're getting somewhere. Pick me up in the McLaren, daddy. Any, in fact, is not okay. I just honestly want to... We'll see. You guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Ashley. This is My Sweet Perspective, where I give my take on all the things TV and movie related. Y'all know I'm here to put you on, and we are back to talk Euphoria Season 3, Episode 5, This Little Piggy, because we got into the little piggies of it all. We grew with Cassie to 50 feet and 50,000 subscribers. Maddy is an official madam. Drew is buried from the neck down, very much reminiscent of Major Pain. And Nate still broke, and now again without a pinky toe. So we have things to talk about. We're gonna do this review a little bit different. I have some thoughts and I gotta get them off my chest. And then we'll go character by character and get this episode wrapped up, shall we? Let's do it. And we have to get into the opening sequence first. And again, this was pure 10-15 minutes of pure fetish kink, and recycled at that, because lest we not forget our girl Kat very early on with the micro peens of it all. We can't be original here. We had to recycle something from season 1, but alas, we're over here, and Cassie is going through all of the measures and all of the steps that it's going to take to be somebody in this OF world, right? So every kink that you can imagine, from sucking her own toes to all manner of fake ding-a-lings, all manners, colors, sizes of ding ding-a-lings we get, until ultimately we're selling our dirty panties at this point. Farts in a jar, like just everything depraved that you can think of, she does in these first 15 minutes. And while doing so, she literally gets bigger, which also I hear happens to be a certain kink and fetish for some of supersized women and the little bitty men. Very much Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And so as she's sacrificed everything that she has on the altar of male desire and the male gaze, she grows. She grows to 50 feet. She's sticking them titties on the glass, and everyone is having an amazing time. And her star is rising. She's growing in fame. But that's really it, because at the end of the day, Cassie still has no direction. She still has no clue who she is. She's still very much selling her wares for someone else. She's giving Nate 35,000 here, 35,000 there, whatever he needs to try to get flush. And Nate's not even doing what he needs to do. But that's another story for another day. And honestly, we also go on a red pill podcast tour. Because hell, if you ask a woman to cook these days, you might as well say the N-word with the hard ER. I said, I don't know what the obsession with the N-word is this season, and why everyone's got to make a move or mention it. It's just very... I don't know. The idea that Cassie would be ultimately a trad wife was something we could all imagine after watching season 2. But to get over here, it's nothing of the sort. And so now we're on this podcast tour promoting that in addition to everything else. So she's firing on all cylinders in these first 10-15 minutes, y'all. But it was disgusting. It was a spectacle. And honestly, I wanted to cut it off during that time, but I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I sat with it, and I'm glad I watched the rest of the episode, because I think it speaks to a larger situation, and we might as well get into that. The elephant that's in the room, the elephant that y'all don't want me talking to, the elephant that I had to block people about because y'all are such Sam Levinson apologists. I can't believe it. All right, but let's get into it, because I want to pause and I want to take a moment, because I know that people have been in the comments and a lot to say about, well, why now is it so distasteful? It was always distasteful for me. Y'all know I did not watch this when it came on. It took me 4 or 5 years to watch this show. I literally binged it the month before Euphoria aired, seasons 1 and 2, because I just felt that it was so gratuitous. And if you know me, if you've been here any length of time, that's just not my zhuzh. I need things to make sense and serve the narrative. And when it doesn't, when I feel like it's pure shock and awe, it's a big, huge me. I also didn't like that we were supposed to be watching teenagers, right? It just really threw me for a loop. But I sat down and I watched it. I really never enjoyed season 1, but I understood season 1 in terms of a character study, in terms of shining a light on things that we may not see every day back then in season 1. Season 2, I thought was much better. I thought narratively it stuck it. I loved Lexi's evolution. I loved seeing a real life dynamic of abuse like in family. And I was like, oh, season 2. So coming into season 3, I think I had real expectations that we would actually see evolved characters moving throughout the world, that these girls that we met in high school now coming into young womanhood would be really not fully evolved, but self-aware and on a path, right? And maybe not even necessarily a good path. A bad path would have been okay if it was serving the story. But what I'll say and what my observations have been, and this is strictly my opinion, seemingly our writer, director, producer, all of that has a low image and view of women and girls, in my opinion. This is not the writing of a person who believes that women have autonomy or free thought or think of themselves outside anything other than the male gaze, in my opinion. That's how it comes across to me, a woman watching this show. I think my hope was that you cared enough about these characters to have them evolve over time into just human beings, not women that were only there in service to men. That's what makes me view my image of him. Honestly, that's what shapes it, because I really don't feel like you care about these characters moving forward. It's like you can't. This is pure spectacle and sexualization of women for the purpose of serving some part of your audience. In my opinion, this season, there's no rhyme or reason. Half of these stories we're never going to get to. And the stories that we do have are still all in service to men. And the one character that seems to want to step outside of that boat or not be bound by that, y'all are painting her as the judgy, jealous little sister. And that's Lexi. And I don't believe that that's her story or who she would have been. We saw great evolution in her in season 2. And now I think to have her in this same position where Cassie always wins, Marcia, it's unfair. And so again, it just has me questioning. Now, I get it. Some women do view themselves as commodities, right? And some men do as well. But that's not everyone. And I think to paint with this broad brush and to shove that all down our throat that, oh, women are only good for this, or I'm either profiteering off a woman and the sale of her body, or that's all she thinks she's worth. From Jules to Rue to Maddy to Cassie to Faye to the girls at the slippery, the slippery noodle, the slippery spoon, all the silvery slip, the silver slipper. It's all the same. And I just can't reconcile with that. And of course, there has been a ton of conversation in the internet streets around Sam's motivation and where this is going and how it really passed the bar of exploitation at this point, because you're not showing sex work in a way that is in any way meaningful, right? One side of it, you're not showing the side that women have a clear head on their shoulders and they make choices and have autonomy in that choice. No, it's at the hand of a pimp, whether that's Maddy or Alamo. And then they're being brutalized and not having the ability to stand up or stand out. And while that is some people's experience, that's not all, but it's transcended. From Cassie, even before she got into the OnlyFans, we saw her giving or sacrificing herself on the altar of Nate, thinking that he was going to provide this life. So again, I'm exchanging my body, my services, my wares, right? For the hope of security, for the hope of finance. And I really feel like we're more evolved than that. And yeah. I think ultimately the bigger question is going to be not only how these characters see themselves, because clearly this is through his lens only, but how do women in the real world move and how do they see themselves? I saw so many comments about this. This is real life. This is real. It's real for some, but not in the way that you think it is. This is very much pimps up, hoes down. If you've watched any of that old pimping, if you've in any way been exposed to that pimping, this is very much that, top to bottom. That's what the show is, if you want to be honest about it. And that was another thing. You have no idea about the life. It must be nice to be so sheltered. Who said that? It's all in the messenger and the way that it's displayed, in my opinion. But y'all, let's get into this episode because I've ranted long enough. Let's start over here with Cassie, because it was very much Go Ask Alice. I don't know if we all grew up around the same time, but I definitely read Go Ask Alice by Anonymous in my preteen years, probably like 12 or 13, and then read it again in high school. And Go Ask Alice was a cautionary tale all about a girl who was, I believe, abused and then goes out in just a life of doing whatever is needed to be done to supply what they needed. And ultimately it ends in tragedy. And again, a cautionary tale that I think young girls should read, period. But immediately when we see her grow and get 50 feet tall, I immediately thought of that book, and I immediately thought of Jefferson Airplane, White Rabbit. And if you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. It's a great song. But it's Go Ask Alice when she's 10 foot tall. One pill makes you larger, one pill makes you small. And we go on this journey, and it's Alice. She's in Wonderland, and this song is about the rugs. And one pill makes you smaller, or makes you smaller, right? It makes you tiny. The other one makes you 10 feet tall, and you can do anything. And I think that's really a true representation of what is going on in Cassie's life right now. Cassie has no control. And I believe that where she's at in her life right now represents this new Wonderland. She is in LA, the place where dreams come true. I have this huge dream and everything's coming up roses for me, right? Got the movie role. I'm getting invited into influencer houses. I have 50,000 subscribers now. I'm making all this money. I'm wanted. I'm vying, but it's only because I'm giving everything away. I'm giving every bit of myself away. I'll do it. And earlier this season, we even heard Maddy say it. She still doesn't know who she is. She still doesn't know what she wants. She still doesn't know where she's going or what her motivations are. And she still wants to be accepted. And so, of course, we see her as she sacrifices herself. She rises to fame and she gets huge. And so it's really interesting to see her inflated. This ego, the bravado, right? My station is bigger, but you still have no control because at any moment, one pill can make you smaller, right? When I have to stop to make a different decision, things can shift dramatically. And then what does that mean for this life that I'm trying to create? I will say I really hoped more for Cassie's character after all these years. I really would not have thought this would be the route that she would go on, based on the Cassie that we knew in the earlier seasons. But alas, we're over here. And so ultimately we find out that she is making a cute coin because she's selling her panties. She's doing the most. She's still messing with Brandon and they're getting all of the photo ops. And he says, what the hell do you need Maddy for? Come on over here with a real G. Is Cassie living the life that she's always wanted as this star, or is she a monster? Because we can't deny how Godzilla-esque this was. Even though the tits were out, it was horrifying and monstrous. And I think it also begs the question of, when you give society, when you give men the things that they want, does it make you a villain or does it make you something else, right? Does it make you pariah? And so I'm very curious about that. And if we'll get any resolution with it, like I said, there was something there. But again, you lose so many people just with the gratuitous nature of it, and knowing that a big subset of the audience, there is something that they are getting out of these outrageously denigrating scenes. So we just have to set that right there. But now let's get over here to Maddy. And I think Maddy's probably the most appropriate appropriate person to go to next, because we also see some of this power play, this dynamic play out with she and Cassie. Because while Cassie is like, Maddy, you're my best friend, Maddy, it didn't take too much pressure from Wahlberg to be like, come over to the house. Maddy can't help you the way that I can, for you really to give up on everything, to sign the contract and all of that. And then when we go to see Maddy's got an ace in the hole. And I said, all right, Maddy, I may not necessarily agree with all of that you're doing as far as your pimping. However, I will say this was smart, because again, you didn't tell me you were just the assistant, Maddy. You're my best friend and I don't want to do this and it's not personal. And Maddy's ready. She's got the contract behind her back and she's like, let me go cancel this audition that I set up for you on this big hit show with, I guess, the people's heartthrob currently. And so we get over there and she's like, no, I want it. I want to be a movie star. I want all of these things. And so she signs Maddy's contract, which I'm sure is a cute, 15% that she's going to be getting from her now. And so now she's locked and loaded. And I think we talked about that earlier in last week's live about, is she going to leave Maddy? And the question was there. I didn't think she would. I believe Tyra said she would. But again, I think we fell somewhere in the middle because Maddy set her up in a bit. The other thing, of course, is that, rewind to Cassie a little bit, that she is subsidizing Nate's life. She's giving him that cute coin. And so Maddy finds that out and is like, girl, this money is for you. And I think it's really interesting because he can't use you, but I can use you. Or I can use you, but Maddy can't use you. I think that that dynamic is very interesting. But of course, y'all know, really, ultimately, when after we got through episode 1 or episode 2, I was like, I'm really only following this for Rue and Maddy. And this is because Maddy is probably one of the ones that I think seems to have somewhat of a character evolution. We go from a Maddy back in season 1 who just wanted to be a kept woman. I have no desire to work. I want to sit up here in my fur coats and mind my business. That's all I want. To now, I'm trying to create opportunities for myself, right? I'm trying to make it out here on my own. But I just don't understand why it has to be off the back of women and their exploitation. But alas, we're here. And we sit down with Rue after we've gotten everything worked out with Cassie. And it's basically this conversation around, so how are you so well adjusted, Maddy? How have you found peace? And we get into this conversation about equanimity and things, coming to this understanding and realization that everything that's supposed to happen will happen. Everything that's not won't. And you're supposed to have peace in that. And of course, we get into Jesus and being not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed. We didn't get to that part because they're not going to quote a full scripture, but we get into this deep conversation. And again, we're circling back to this question of faith around Rue, which we haven't explored since that first day, or watching her listen to her Bible CDs. And so we're sitting here at the diner. Alamo comes in and Maddy meets Alamo face to face at the first time. And immediately Alamo wants to turn Maddy out. We know Maddy wouldn't go for that. But instantly they get into talking business and pimping hoes and how I can make more money and what I need to do. By the time the episode is over, we're at the stable and we're picking hoes. Maddy has selected Magic with a neck brace and Kitty. Because listen, they'll do everything. I don't have to force them, barter with them, beg them to do anything strange for some change. They're open, they're willing. Now, I think what's going to be the determining factor with how I feel about Maddy ultimately by the end of this season is what she does when she sees the reality of these girls that work for Alamo. Because we know Alamo is not going to be good in any capacity to anybody, right? Now, as far as Lexi, because one who chose a different path is now being really relegated to the same character that she was in season 1. And I really don't think that's fair. But Maddy, of course, is wrangled in by Maddy to get Cassie an audition. Cassie goes in. My sister always raves about me. She's whatever. And so anyway, we know that Cassie did her Shakespeare, honey. And the director, Lexi's boss are all laughing, but like, if she can do Shakespeare, she can do our show. And immediately Lexi's annoyed. And again, she came across as judgy before. We know that. I just don't know why that's got to be her arc. Why can't she just be fun-filled and free? Why is it always going to end up in competition between she and her sister? I felt like we had so much evolution in Cassie. I hate to see her go backwards here, but we'll see what they do with that. Moving on over to Nate. Nate is getting $35,000 a pop Every chance he gets from Cassie, she's trying to help him pay off this debt, but he's not paying off anything. And we see that when he's dancing to the record players, girl, put your records on, as the hitman Nas's people come in to get his pinky toe again. Pop that sucker off, and now the finger. And I'm like, Nate, you're not going to have any phalanges left. They're all gone. Also, Nate is also in his pimp bag because, Cassie, why don't you have some kind of intimate moment with Brandon, the Wahlberg boy, over at the house? Because that'll bring in some cute coins. We need that. He's got 30 million. You do everything you need to do, but you're loyal to Maddy. Why? F Maddy. F Maddy. Everybody's F Maddy. And I didn't like that. I'm like, a girl out here trying to get to a bag, and this is how y'all do her. But Nate, again, is not the Nate that we know. Our old Nate would never go for any of this. And now he's putting his wife on display, wanting her to do intimate things with another man. I'm like, y'all just wanted to do a new show. Don't even call it Euphoria. Give it a new name. Because that is not the Nate that we knew. And did Nate have to come back as diabolical as he was before? No, he didn't. But there should be some remnants of the old Nate that we see. Again, like I said, the old Nate I know who set up Tyler to go to the Pinta for something he didn't do. The Nate who sent the police to Fez's house. The Nate who held Maddy at Blicky Point to get the DVD that he needed. As far as Rue is concerned, I don't know why she's here at this point other than to be misused and mistreated. Because what the heck? Because now Alamo's questioning everything because Alamo says, you know, maybe an N-word, but I'm not a monkey. Like, what are these lines? And why do you have this man saying them? We see Alamo get fitted for this suit that's too small. And I did kind of dichotomy between him feeling insignificant and small and Cassie, you know, ascending to these new heights. So I was like, okay, feels small. He doesn't want to feel small. He doesn't want to be a monkey. So we're over there seeing that, and we see him accost the young man who bought him this little mini young suit. You know, Rue is just kind of taking it all in. At some point, Magic goes over because she didn't get her point across that night good enough that she needs to tell Alamo, listen, Rue is no good. She was asking if the girl had been forced. She planted some stuff in my locker. You need to get about it. You know, he's like, Rue. Meanwhile, the DEA is trying to get Lori on wiretap via Rue, which again, bad idea. You know, calls Lori, yeah, I hate you. Don't call me again. Hangs up the phone. Yeah, going nowhere as DEA agents. And I don't know why you don't understand that. While all that's going on, Alamo starts thinking about what Magic has said. You know, hey man, did she recognize them? Was she scared? Like, what's the vibes? Yeah, you know, he thinks she knew. He thinks it was a setup, and so now we've got to punish Rue. Like I said, she and Maddy go out, talk about God, have this conversation. He pops up and needs to take her. Bishop and the boys take her out to the desert. She's got to dig a hole. They bury her from the neck down, and at the end of the episode, looks like Alamo's about to play polo with Rue's head. But we know she's got plot armor, so she goes nowhere until the end of the season, I'm sure. Again, at this point, it's just, you're the narrator, I guess, but I don't know. Her character's not doing anything. It's very stagnant in this episode. So now I will say this, as far as Rue, the only thing I think that stood out this episode was the fact that it seems like she did want to step in to make sure Maddy was okay, but really she's powerless there. As far as Maddy's concerned, as far as Alamo's concerned, the only thing I'm seeing more and more this season is Rue has no power or control over her own life as much as any of the other girls do. Really, she's been for sale as well. She was a mule, for heaven's sake, right? And now she's still at the behest of somebody else, a man. Really, it's all these girls are really in the same position, just different expressions of it, right? All the same, but in a different font. And so now get over here to Bishop, who was very Dexter coded this episode. I guess, in fact, he is not the police. Way he went in there with his Dexter outfit ready to chop that man up. I don't think that's where the story's going. I thought it would have been cute, but alas, I don't think. Now let's end with Jules. I think this was a shocking and I think harsh reality for her, but a reality that she had to face beyond anything else. She's at her apartment minding her business. And Ellis is over there. And of course, we have to see an obligatory smeck scene because that's what they do over here. So he goes into the bathroom and he sees Rue's boxer shorts. Immediately, he thinks it's a man. He's like, you got a man laying up in my apartment that I pay for? I have a family. I'm not trying to bring any diseases. Remember who you are, ho. Remember whose you are, ho. I'm keeping you. It really was like this moment of realize your position and your role and don't step outside of those boundaries. I know you think it's sweet. I know you think it's cute, but I can cut this life off for you at any chance if I just snap my finger one day and decide that. So don't be out here having unprotected sex with all your boys, all right? Because I don't want any diseases. I'm not bringing that home to my family. I like you, but I love them, y'all. It was enough, hopefully, for Jules to get a quick shift, a quick kick in the pants. Because again, as much as we talk about her being the one to have autonomy, this episode broke that completely. You're still dependent. This still isn't like choice that I say who, I say when, I say how much. No, you're at the behest of this man who has the money and makes the rules. But you guys, again, overall, like I said, I can see some of the things here. I can. I think it's just overshadowed by this very gratuitous depiction, right? Out of 5 sweet peas, I probably give this 2. That's better than I gave 2.2 out of 5 sweet peas this episode. Anyway, if you're still here for watching, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all of the things, and I will see y'all in the next video. Thanks for watching.